Hi, this is Joe Hashey from Synergy back with another episode of the Synergy's Accidentally Fit podcast, where we're helping guide busy adults toward a healthier and fitter life by giving them small tactics and habits. The goal of each episode is to be about 10 to 15 minutes and have you leave with some value. So if you enjoy the episode, please make sure to share it with a friend, give it a like, and we'll keep putting them out. We're going to have about 10 episodes in the season, and then we're going to let the dust settle and clear and see who's listening and who's commenting and who's engaging. So it's really important to get that feedback. Today's episode is going to be an important one, and that's on prioritizing yourself. The mindset self image shift to how can I use time that I could also use for my family or I could also use for professional development or whatever else and prioritize my health and fitness. There's a lot of people that feel selfish. They have this internal feeling of doing something wrong when they do something as an individual as they become a little bit older. So I have some thoughts on it. Mine are probably more harsh than Carly's. So I'm joined by Carly, our marketing manager here at Synergy. She has awesome energy and talks to the members a lot and gets a lot of the communication. So she's joining me on the podcast to keep me straight and push me if members say something versus what I'm hearing, so we can all collectively come together and give you some good feedback. So welcome, Carly. How are you doing today?
Thank you. I'm doing well. I've got my coffee and I'm excited to talk more about prioritizing yourself.
Oh yeah, do you have black coffee, Carly? Or you one of those sugar people?
I don't have sugar, but I do have cream, which I know is not great, but it is one of I can't let go of the cream.
Thank you for your confession. And terrible job teaching people mindset when you say I can't let go. So that'll lead us right into this discussion. I can't make time for myself is what we hear from some members. So Carly, do you want to go first, or do you want me to just start dishing on some harsh truths right at the beginning?
I can just mention that we talked about previously before this. I can just mention the example, and then I'll let you dive in.
Sure.
So I have found recently through talking to some of our members, one of the themes that has come up in our conversations is all about putting yourself first and making yourself a priority. Many of our members are parents. Whether they have small children or adult children, or even parents that they have to take care of, they feel selfish taking the time away for their workout, because then they're not spending it on the people around them. And one thing that we have been encouraging at Synergy is that it's okay to take time for yourself and to take time for your workout, because it's going to help you gain clarity in your mind and feel better physically so that you can show up stronger for the people in your life. So I know, Joe, you can kind of dive into that deeper, but that tends to be a theme in the conversations over the past few months.
So I think there's a couple layers to it. The first layer are some people use this as a crutch to not take care of themselves. And we have to be honest about that if that is a situation. And that's, I just don't have time for myself, as a way to brush off doing anything. And you basically saying, hey, a better me is not good for the people around me. And that's at the end of the day what you're saying. And that's an okay place to be at. At least you're having that conversation and considering it. But I believe this is a Tony Robbins thing. This is the quality of the questions you ask will be a direct proportion to the life you're able to lead. So when I read a question that says something like, how do I prioritize myself over others? You've set yourself up for success. You're on opposite ends of the spectrum. You're pulling, it's either me or them in that style of question. The first thing I would do is shift that question and say, how do I improve myself so I can improve others around me? How do I level up my ability so I can help teach my kids? How can I be a leader in this family in the health and fitness space, because their health and fitness is important to me as they grow up? Those questions are much different, but they're asking the same thing. So the first part of, if you're really serious about accomplishing something, and you're stuck, try rephrasing the question 4 or 5 times and keep asking yourself and reframing it, because this is about your self-image and perception and mindset. You'll never be able to be successful long-term if you believe it takes away from people you love. You can be successful long-term if you believe it gives to the people that you love. And it starts with that initial question of, how do I improve myself to help others around me? And so I would challenge, because I'm reading it right from the sheet that I was just sent. It says, how do I prioritize myself over others in my life? Well, you ask that question, you will not be able to do it, because you are inherently a good person. I do believe people are inherently good. And if you set yourself up as saying, I am being selfish whenever I do this, at some point you're going to stop doing that item. And if that's exercise, fitness, reading books for personal development, whether it's going for walks and thinking about ways to elevate yourself and your family, that will eventually stop if you view it as a selfish activity. So first thing first, rephrase the question and ask yourself a better question in a way that now, here's the other mindset shift, and this is something that I use with my family. Now you feel obligated to take care of yourself to help others around you. Now you are being selfish if you stop taking care of yourself by rephrasing that question that way. I am being selfish if I take an hour to do my workout away from my family and I dink around on my phone and I screw off and I don't get anything done. That is now a selfish activity. So I attack my workouts, my reading, my walks with purpose versus floating through the day. And I want to make that important point, that by just rephrasing the question, now you can be the person that is pushing forward versus pushing them away. How do you feel about that, Carly?
I like it. I think one of my things right now is I find myself trapped sometimes on my phone, and that is one thing that I'm working on. So it's just interesting that you brought that up, because I think a lot of our members can probably relate to technology being an excuse, as similar to exercise.
Is your phone more important than spending time with Mike and your puppies and your house and your family?
No, it's not.
Well, quit being so selfish, Carly, and get your workout done. See how different that sounds versus the other side. I'm being selfish for being in this place, so I'm going to pick up my phone and I'm going to throw some text at something, kind of do a half-assed job of building relationships, often superficially on sites who don't even know what you're doing. Because I have the same struggle, and that happens. But once you ask yourself a better question, then it happens a lot less.
Right.
And so you can set yourself up for success with that. So the first things first, shift what's going on between your ears and look at it as you are doing something good when you take care of yourself, just like you said earlier, Carly, so you can bring the best version of yourself to other people. And to add to that, you can role model for them and you can help teach them, you can help elevate them. And there's that belief that you are the average of the 5 people you hang out with the most. Don't you want to be the one who increases that average? Or do you want to be the one who makes excuses and brings that down for the people that are around you?
Right. Yeah, and I think that comes back to our why wall too, because so many of our members, we talk about prioritizing yourself, but like you said, so many people are just good and they care about other people. So our why wall, a lot of the things they write on the wall are to be there for their grandkids, or to be there for their father, or to see their daughter walk down the aisle. So we want to be there for the people in our lives who are so important to us. So that why is really important, but it starts with prioritizing yourself so that those other things can kind of fall into place. And you can be a role model for those people in your life.
Inherently, being selfish is looked at as a negative quality. Even one of our core values as Synergy is selflessness, to be able to help others. And even though deep down we should be doing things for, it makes us feel good. Like that is a valid reason for doing something. It is often looked at as not an acceptable reason for doing something, even if it's a valid reason. And so we lean on what we can do for others, and that the same way you're leveraging that to not work out, you can leverage that to work out. Like you said on the Y wall, to be able to play with my kids, to have energy, to keep up with my grandkids, to see my grandkids get married, and all this stuff is very important. To both accept that being a fit person is good for you, but also you can leverage that by finding out who else you can influence and help by taking care of yourself.
So, Joe, quick question. Do you find in all your past 12 years of experience working with so many different kinds of people, do you find that deep down there's usually a deeper meaning? So when someone says, hey, I want to be there for my grandkids, is it deeper and they truly want to improve themselves, but they kind of need another reason, because if it was about themselves, they would feel like selfish in a way?
I see that on two different levels. The first level is the original question is, how can I prioritize myself over others, which we've hopefully done a good job of navigating on switching that question. On that level, I see it as trying to find a valid excuse to get out of doing something uncomfortable. It is tough to walk into a new fitness facility. It is tough to put yourself out there. It is hard to say, hey, I want to work on something. And you get worried about other people's feedback. And so they use that as trying to be an altruistic way to say, hey, I'm not going to take care of myself. On the flip side, where people want to, they put like, hey, I want to play with the grandkids and stuff. And that those are reasons, and those are good reasons. And same with the first thing, that is the reason that they've convinced themselves in their head. So it becomes true, that they're, as people age, and we've had a lot of older members now that are in their 80s, a lot of them want to get the most squeeze out of this life. And maybe they don't realize that till they're 60 or 70. And now is their opportunity as retired people to start traveling the world, maybe spend some more time with the special person they love as an external one, but they also want to go see some things themselves. And I remember asking, and I apologize for the language ahead of time, this gentleman who was in his 70s. He was going to Wyoming to see some national parks. He had never been there before. He had got fit enough to go on the hikes. I'm like, hey, why are you going there? So I was curious. He goes, I want to see some shit in my life. And that was, as they get older, they tend to get a little bit more honest. Like, hey, I just want to go see some shit, do some things that I didn't think was practical for me for the first 70 years of my life, but now has become practical as they adopted a new self-image. So yes, I would keep the external goals. It is great to do things for other people and have that sense of altruism that is a powerful motivator and is true, but you can also have other things true at the same time.
Cool.
All right, we got to be close to our 10-minute mark because I'm out of water. I'm out of coffee. So I appreciate you joining, Carly. And for people who are listening, I appreciate you as members. If you're not a member yet, you can visit synergyfitnessteam.com. Come in and talk to our staff. It's a free session because we want to get to meet you with everything that we're talking about now, where it's hard to go into a new place. We try to make that as easy as possible. Say, hey, come in for a free session. We'll guide you through your own personal workout and see if you like it. It's a very low pressure thing to make it more practical to get outside your comfort zone. Make sure to subscribe and stay engaged on the podcast. We have a couple more coming out. Talk to everyone soon.